Yeah, the biggest green flag for me is that I never toned myself down or performed for my husband. Like since the day we met, even since the first phone call, because we actually chatted on the phone several times before we met up, which I highly suggest, by the way. You'll save yourself a lot of time. I'm wasting your time meeting up and spending a whole night with someone who sucks. Anyway, we always talk about like red flags in them, green flags in them. But I think the red flags and the green flags in yourself are just important to pay attention to, because that will show you a green flag or red flag in them. Now, sometimes, before I'd done a lot of my own healing, I probably would have performed in front of any man on some level. I mean, I grew up in the South, right? White women in the South, that is what all we're supposed to do is just, hey, it's all about performing, but being full of rage, passive aggressive. So the more I did some healing and really, started unpacking all of these systems and started really coming into my authentic self, the less willing I was to perform for anyone, but especially men. So a lot of that, so I had to do a lot of work on myself, right? To get to that place where I would feel comfortable being my authentic self. And also feeling comfortable around him to be that self was a green flag about him. Because as my friend, one of my closest friends, she met him, our second date together. He met all my friends because I was doing a little drum concert. I just looked it up for y'all so you could see. Second date, actually, it's a really interesting story about this whole second date. That's another video. Let me know if you want to hear. But he showed up to this concert. Look at me, my big old drum. Bam! That's me, beat my drum. So he came to this concert, this show. It's not concert. And a bunch of my girlfriends all came out there. It was he went into the lion's den, right? He showed up and met 4 or 5 of my closest friends, watched me do this, was in a collective train, dancing with them. I was like, that's a good sign. And then we all hung out afterwards. And I was not the least bit nervous about when we were sitting, paying attention to him versus paying attention to my friends. Now, normally, I don't know if it's because I'm codependent, empathetic, feel like I have to manage, the social environment, probably all those things. But a lot of times if people are coming together because they know me, I kind of, make sure that, I didn't do any of that. I trusted him to I introduced him, but I wasn't carrying the conversation. I wasn't so Anthony, what do you think? You and so-and-so. I didn't do any of that. I was just relaxed. Hell, I'd just done a concert, drumming, bam, bam, for a long time. I wasn't the least bit nervous. And then after the concert, he took me to a really nice restaurant. And it was just easy. It was easy. I felt like I was best friends with this man when I first met him. And that's why I say on here a lot of times, because I had developed such a close relationship with my soulmate, Liz. She's my best friend. She adores me. I adore her. We were just like this. We just magically it's like we knew each other forever when we met. And she's the one who taught me how to have relationships, how to be honest in relationships, how to not be so selfish, because I'm very guarded, so sometimes I'm the absolutely avoidant, whatever you call it. And so when I met him, I was like, oh my God, it's like being with Liz. No performing, no censoring myself, no nothing. It's just effortless. I feel comfortable. And the guy that I dated just before him, Breadcrumb guy, I had caught myself censoring myself around him. I had caught myself being on edge, even though I was super confident, really confident, had done all this healing. The man I was hanging out with not 6 months before I met Anthony, I was a completely different person around. Well, not completely, but I was editing myself. I was toning myself down. That is a huge red flag. A red flag in terms of me, but I usually didn't do that with people. But more importantly, it was a red flag for him, because there was something about this person that made me not feel safe. Doesn't mean they're an unsafe person, but they made me feel unsafe. I couldn't relax. And then the next day, one of my good buddies who was there and met him, she's the one who, probably my closest friend here. She goes, you have a boyfriend. And I'm like, shut up, bitch. I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have a boyfriend. She was like, no, you have a boyfriend. That dude really likes you. But more importantly, you are the exact same person in front of him that you are in front of me. And I've never seen that. So as much as I was dating with confidence, as much healing as I had done, as much as I'd become the bad bitch in the bedroom, knew how to center my pleasure, all that stuff. On some level, I still didn't feel comfortable to be with any other man the way I am with him. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm just saying, I'm not a dating coach. I'm just a storyteller and a writer and a journalist, blah, blah, blah. I know a lot about patriarchy and I know a lot about myself. And in my experience, that is a green flag. Now, green flags can be wrong. For me, the most important thing is to be my authentic self. And if I can ever not be my authentic self around someone, why in the world would I marry them? And as you can see from the video that this comment is attached to, I'm just as dorky and crazy and loud and blah, in front of him and his family that I am in front of anyone. So thank you for that comment. Also, I'm not saying that men can't do a switch up. I'm not saying that any of this is guaranteed. There's no guarantees, y'all. But I am saying this was something that I noticed and was really important. One of the biggest green flags is that I had never felt so seen and by him and myself in the presence of a partner in my life. So